Can you use Samsung Galaxy S6 in 2021? Should you still buy one? And is it still worth using? Let's find out. Hey, what's up guys? Welcome back to the channel. So the Galaxy S6 was released in March 2015, 6.5 years back, and it was the biggest design change in the entire Samsung smartphone lineup. In fact, the biggest trend in the smartphone industry, which is this metal and glass pack, and still it is the benchmark in the premium category of smartphone industry. So the Galaxy S6 was made of glass on the front and back with aluminum frame instead of plastic in the previous case. But besides that, it was one of the worst Galaxy smartphones ever made, which I will talk about in a second. It was a very famous phone due to Samsung's extreme marketing and 3 different design models in that year, which were the regular Galaxy S6, the S6 Edge and the bigger Edge Plus, and all sharing almost same main internals. So there was a 5.1-inch S6 and 5.1-inch this S6 Edge with rounded edges and a bigger 5.7 inches Edge Plus, and all were gorgeous looking smartphones, especially design wise. The color options added much beauty in it and the initial impressions were mind blowing, but that was not the case after some practical months with these smartphones. There were few downgrades from the previous devices on the basis of which many users were buying a Samsung phone in the first place, like expandable storage option, water resistance and removable battery. But these were not only the major downsides, it was an overall less practical phone and more of an aesthetic piece of hardware. So let's dive in deep and start off by the design and display. As I said, this was a major change in the design by combining metal and glass to achieve a much more premium feel and look, and it was a well thought idea because after implemented it proved to be very impressive. I mean, this is a gorgeous looking phone. The frame is thin solid piece of aluminum which is slightly chamfered and the back glass is clean and shiny. There is some sort of plastic lamination from the inside to give the glass this beautiful looking feel. The camera bump and the flash module is also very well premium designed, which in my opinion looks so good, especially from some distance when someone is holding the phone while using or calling, and it is very appealing from the back. The front is, as you see, curved, which Samsung calls it edge display. It is beautiful and kind of modern looking, but it definitely has its downsides as well. The side bezels are relatively thin and the up and down bezels also don't look bad, which have some extra space for Samsung logo and home button, which is a fingerprint sensor. So overall it is a very good premium design for sure, and still it doesn't look old and might be better looking than some new phones as well. It is very lightweight and much comfortable to hold due to the sharp sides, making the grip slightly better. The display is a 5.1 inch on both the regular S6 and the S6 Edge, but 5.7 inches on the larger Edge Plus, and all of them have the same Quad HD resolution with 500 plus ppi, which makes the screens extra sharp, and these are Samsung AMOLED screens, so definitely they are outstanding. The crazy high pixel density made these phones so attractive to the eyes, which I think no any regular person could ignore this display at first sight. Especially the Edge displays are so good looking, and honestly it doesn't feel a 2015 display, and yeah, except your HRR. The biggest problem with this phone was the battery life, and it was the case with all the 3 models. The regular S6 has a 2550 milliamps battery, while the S6 Edge has a 2600 milliamps and the Edge Plus has a 3000 milliamps, which were simply not enough for these bright high resolution screens. And all phones have sealed batteries, which made the scenario even worse. I mean, all phones had poor battery life and the users didn't have their favorite swappable option, which made them to hate this phone a lot. And also when these phones were released at first, there was no easy replaceable battery setup for them. I mean, the spare batteries came after some time and delayed in some countries, so the customers were sort of bound to live with their phone's poor battery life, which was kind of 3 hours of screen on time out of the box, and then it was significantly reduced with the passage of time and heavy use, like sometimes it would just die within 2 hours, and also with poor standby time. One major reason why these phones had bad battery life was the lack of Snapdragon processors. Yes, all these phones came only with Samsung Exynos processors, which were like hot out of the box. And with that, speaking of the processor and performance, so it has Samsung Exynos 7420 octa-core 14 nanometer processor, 3 gigs of RAM on the smaller models and 4 gigs on the Edge Plus. The processor itself was very fast and smooth. I mean, everything was blazing fast and games as well, but it had overheating issues and drained battery much faster. The software was also not optimized. The TouchWiz UI, which is slow and laggy, and it was just upgraded from Android 5 to Android 7, so there was, as usual, the software problem there. And yeah, it was colorful and it is customizable, but again, you know, the iPhone 6s was released in the same year and that has the latest iOS 15, which is unbelievable. And imagine this phone running the Android 12, which I think is not possible for this hardware. So the software combined with the bad battery life and overheating issues made this phone one of the worst Galaxy phones of all time. The camera on the S6 is a 16 megapixels camera with OIS, and same on all variants. The picture quality is pretty much 2015, like normal for 2015 camera. And yeah, it was one of the best smartphone cameras back in 2015. The low light shots are somehow bad, I think, but in good lighting situations it does a pretty decent job. There are more megapixels there, which in real life I think don't matter a lot. The pictures are overall very sharp and sometimes over processed as well. The video quality is 4K and 1080 60 frames per second, and video is also very sharp. The OIS works here, and I remember I used to capture a lot of videos back in that days just because of the superior video quality of this camera. The selfie camera is also normal for a 5 megapixels camera, and it also gets the job done. So here it is, the Galaxy S6. Now the question is, can you still use it in 2021? I would say yes, it is still pretty much usable. I mean, there are some apps still supported on this software, and you can also flash an upgraded ROM on this, which will solve the software problem. And the Android 7 is also still usable. After that, it has got nice call quality. The camera can fulfill picture taking needs. It has a nice high resolution screen, and the design is just amazing. And I'm sure you will still get the attention of people when using this phone. And let me know in the comments if you have used this phone. So what was like the reaction of people when they saw this phone at first? So definitely let me know in the comments. And should you buy one to use? I will not recommend it because the battery life is terrible now. If poor, then overheating issue is there. The software is very outdated, although usable. And after all, there are great options there, and also an old iPhone will clearly be a good option than this. But it was a nice, good looking phone, and those who have used it will always remember as a beautiful and frustrating phone. And that's all about the Galaxy S6 or S6 Edge. And thank you so much guys for watching. Please be sure to subscribe and like the video if you liked it. I will see you in the next one.